Hi guys, it's TinaGale again, and we are getting down to the end of this Flavors of the Month kit from 2017. So this is all I have left. Lots of little scraps. I have a strip of this. Still have that big block of wood that I love. Pretty big piece of the floral and the red. Full sheet of green. Still haven't used this or the cut-aparts. Since I've been doing the 8.5 by 11s, these don't really fit. This page, I think I have enough photos. I'll probably do a 12 by 12. I'm not sure. Still have quite a few stickers and these alphabets that keep popping off. Quite a few, but then again, not really much because they're all kind of similar. They're all bigger. I only have some that are kind of small to medium. I do still have my stickers that are on my sheets that I pulled off for layouts that I haven't used. And I still have this bonus one that I pulled out of a current kit so that I could use a few pieces off of it because it does match. There's several things that match. It is about home, and I knew I needed some extras. I've pulled out more old photos. This is many moons ago. This is when my husband and I, right after we first got married, we bought property. We bought a small mobile home to put on it while we started establishing a house and everything. So this was it. It wasn't much, but it was home, and I want to document them. It's showing some of our puppies, and the funny little story that I have to tell is my husband's standing over here, and he's in blue jean overalls. And I just cracked up when I saw that because I don't remember that man ever wearing blue jean overalls in his life, ever. So that was kind of funny to look back. And that is one reason why I don't like to crop photos. I'm going to go ahead and spend some time talking about that because these photos are old, and I know people sometimes have old photos that are not great. None of these are anything to write home about. They're fairly bad photos. This is before digital, so you didn't know what you were getting. But they tell stories. This was our life way back then. This is nothing. But it has the truck that we got married in, that we no longer have, of course. Him and his overalls. But normally, when you're thinking about the aesthetics of photos, you would be cropping these down to just get the house. If it was something, really spectacular, which this house wasn't. It was functional, it was cheap, and it got us by and a good investment in the beginning. It tells the stories about the puppies that we had at that time. We were doing yard work on this new property, getting it pretty. More pictures of puppies that we had. So, yeah. Be careful about cropping out photos. I always kind of hate that when people cropped out, because most of the time, if this was a current today photo and this was a nice house, you're documenting your home and you had all this over here, you would probably crop that to a small house and you would cut away all of these details that will be lost. So be mindful of that. It may not be that pleasant, but when you're 30 years down the road and you look back, what are you going to see that you would have cropped out that's not very pretty, but tells the rest of the story about how you lived and stuff. So that's my soapbox. So those are the photos that I'm going to work with. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like I said, I think I may try to go ahead and do a 12 by 12 because I'm going to put all of these on one page. And hopefully finish this up. So let's get going. I started right off the bat and decided to get this cut apart paper cut apart. I'm not really a big fan of the green side, although I have used it in bits and pieces throughout here, but I love different parts of the cut aparts. So the one that I'm going to start with is the one that I just cut out that has the blue frame, and I'm going to use it as a border. And then this one at the bottom that has the quote, "Life is better at home." I thought that was a perfect title, so I just decided to cut it apart from the paint samples. I'm kind of hanging on to all those little paint swatches with the idea in mind to do some more layouts of my son's new house because I know we're going to be painting. So I cut that apart. I'm going to end up making a tag out of the rest of that cut apart. And then if you stay tuned, the final layout that I'm going to share, at least I think it's the final layout, I'm going to use the scraps left over from this cut apart and some other cut apart. So I'm going to really wipe out that piece of paper. So I had just some strips left from the wood grain that I love from that Carta, and I decided to flip it over. I've gotten the wood grain on several layouts and stuff, so I decided to flip it over and use this blue side. Since these photos are old, I have the blue from the sky. I just felt like it was a really great compliment. So I'm just not going to think about the backside being that beautiful wood grain. So I just created some strips, a smaller one and a bigger one, and I'm going to create another layout where it's just the block of photos. So these photos are smaller because they are older. I think back then they were like 3.5 by 5, 3 by 5, something like that. So I did trim just a little bit off the top and bottom of some, but I left them bigger, and I'm just spacing them out to where I get the parts of the photos that have the important elements in. So they're all just a variation. They're a little bit slightly different size each one, but I just stacked them up and made it work. I'm going to go ahead and use that red to border each side of the photos. That really brings attention to the photos. And then you can see here these small blue strips that I cut off the top and the bottom of that cut apart, and just piece them together. Nobody's going to know. They match up fairly perfectly. I had them on the right. You could tell that it really off balanced it. It was just pulling the weight to the other side of the page, so I brought them to the left of the red strip, and that's perfect. It brings the weight back over there. And then here is this cut apart again. I loved that wood grain heart, so I decided to fussy cut it out, and I'm going to use it as a large embellishment. So don't be afraid to cut those cut apart cards all the way up. Use them any way that you want. This one I've used a piece out of it for a title. I've used pieces of the background papers to create a border strip, and I've fussy cut an image out to make an embellishment. So here I'm just going to put everything down. I'm going to glue it together, and this title piece that I have, I'm going to trim it down to one side where I take some of it off. I don't want it as big as it is. I don't want to cover up too much of the photos, but I do have a lot of dead space there on the third and the fourth photo that I can cover up without taking anything away from the photo. And then the other end of it, I'm going to use my hexagon punch and take a little banner chunk out of it. You'll also see at the end that I go ahead and wrap the end of it with some twine just to give some texture. And I do apologize, the camera cut off again. I've had a lot of issues. Part of this was I've just done so much filming all at once during those snow days that I just kept running out of space on my iPad that I film with, so I'd have to unload and then start again. So you'll kind of see a chop there at the end, but then I come back and let you see the full layout. So this little sticker that says good times, I wanted to get it on. I really thought I was going to put it into the border strips, but I actually take it off and put it across that heart. That heart's a really large embellishment, and it needs something to kind of break it up. So I'm going to take it and take it across the photo. And then these wood buttons again from Jen Hatfield. I have this large one that is black with a floral. It brings the black from that title. And then there's another smaller one that has a little black button with the floral, and I put it off to the right. And that's all the embellishing that I'm going to do. I love how this turned out. I love that I have these documented. I can't wait to write the story and tuck it in. I'll probably add it to the back. I might write it on the white cardstock as well. But I really love the way that it turned out. It's clean, nice, and another story documented. So I hope you enjoy this. Like I said, I have one more layout that I've completed that I'm going to share with you here really soon. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.